Hey everybody, it's Abby. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be starting something that I've talked about for a little while, and it is a budgeting series. So yeah, basically I've needed a budget for a long time, and I've kind of had one, but I didn't stick to it. So budgets are pointless if you don't stick to them. So the first thing I want to talk about is the budgeting site and app that I use. So I'm not sponsored or anything, that's just what I use, what works for me. It's called You Need a Budget, or YNAB, YNAB. I don't know, people call it different things. But you do have to pay for it. But now I believe it's a one-time thing and you have it forever. But it's worth it. I've tried other free apps and they don't really work for me and for my brain, and I've tried Mint, where it will automatically link up to your bank account, but I just the categories that it made up, and you couldn't change them as much as I wanted to, and then it would miscategorize things, so I have to go in and fix it. I'd rather just do it all myself and not have to go back and forth. Which Mint would link up with my business QuickBooks, because they're both ran by the same Intuit. But yeah, so I do my budget through YNAB. I'll put a link below. If I do have a referral somehow, then I don't know what I would get from that, because I already paid for the service, but you know. So basically what I'm doing, the point of all this is to get out of debt and then move into an RV, travel full-time. I don't know for how long. That's way beyond what I'm trying to look at right now. So my goal is in about 1.5, maybe 2.5 years, I will have my debt completely paid off. I'll have an RV paid for in cash. You know, everything fine and dandy. I added up what I think it'll cost to, a vast overestimation of what it'll cost to get the RV to pay off the debt and everything, and I added it up, and it's about $40,000. I only, my income is not $40,000, okay? So, that happening in 2 years, probably not, so I'm gonna have to go a lot cheaper on the RV at first, and then if I, want to upgrade, then, you know. So what I'm trying to do between now and then, or to help with that, is we're getting into the busy season. It's fall. I feel like retail is ramping up. People are because I work at a craft store, so it gets really, really busy around the fall and winter, and we have opportunities for overtime, so I'm going to take that, every opportunity that I can get. I've been getting a few hours overtime every week for the past month or so, which will help tremendously, especially when I'm getting into 5 and 10 hours of overtime. Which that also takes away from my other thing that I'm doing is I have a crochet business. I always link it in my video descriptions, but I never hardly talk about it. But basically I make and sell crochet things. I'm trying to make patterns for crochet things, because when you make a pattern, you can sell the pattern over and over again, so somebody else can make the thing. But if you just make and sell things, you have to make it over and over again. That takes a lot of time. So even though I might charge $30, $40 for a scarf or whatever, I can charge $4 or $5 for a pattern and sell it 10 times, and you know, that makes up for one scarf that I didn't have to make. So that's a whole another issue. If you want to learn more about that specifically, check out my other channel. I'll have it linked below, just because I'm not sure what the name of it is. I think it's just my name, but if you search my name, there's other people with my name, so, you know. So I'm going to give you real numbers. Now, I'm not going to give you, every specific, every line in my budget, because that's kind of, it doesn't really matter for this. So, what inspired me to do this was, I've heard about the debt snowball for a long time from Dave Ramsey, and I just never thought about it, but then I was, sitting here racking my brain, trying to figure out how I was going to do this, how I was going to pay this off. And then I was watching Peter Mon, which he is, people know him for being, a beauty drama channel, but he does, motivational and other kind of stuff. He has 4 different channels. And he did a video about how he got out of debt because when he was younger, he racked up a bunch of credit card debt, which was way higher than my amount of debt. But he paid it off in like 2 years, and he was in like, I think he said like around 40,000 or something, which is crazy, like high amount to pay, especially to be paid off in 2 years. So he was talking about how he did that, and that like kind of re-inspired me because before I didn't have this much debt. So the reason why that I have so much is because I have my student loan, which is like using a spray bottle to put out a fire. Like, it's not going to work if I'm just paying the minimum payments, which I don't pay the minimum payments on my student loan anyways, just because the minimum is kind of low. And if I pay the minimum, it's going to take a bajillion years to pay it off. So, but also I had to move out of my last apartment early, and I didn't want to, because they would like let me pay, per month, but I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to keep paying them and like keep having to interact with them for that long, so I just paid off the entire balance with my credit card. And then so now I'm still paying on that. Plus I used that credit card to fund what I needed to for my crochet business, so like my domain, my business cards, my like logo design, what else? Yarn, like, supplies, all that kind of stuff. And, yeah, so that racked that up quite a bit. And then I have one more credit card. So I have 2 credit cards and 1 loan. My other credit card was racked up from the first time that I moved, and I still haven't been able to, like, pay it off. So, yeah. So what I'm going to do is, while I'm still living with my parents, I'm going to get all that paid off while I have extra income. So my first priority is going to be the first credit card, because right now that is accruing interest. My second one is not accruing interest. I'm still on that introductory 0%, which I might have to switch gears in the middle of this, because that is expected to start accruing interest around June of next year. So I've got a little less than a year before that starts accruing interest. And one thing to watch out for, that got me on my first one. And I worked at a bank and in the credit card department, so I know how this all works, but I just didn't apply it to myself. So when you have one of those credit cards that's like first 6 months or 12 months or 18 months or 24 months even with 0% interest, at some point, if you have a balance on that, that's going to start accruing interest. So if you rack it up to almost the limit or half the limit or whatever, eventually you're going to get hit with a huge bill of interest. So that can be like $300 or $400, $500 even of interest charges, and then it accrues monthly after that. So not only are you getting that interest each month, you're getting interest on top of the interest and then on top of the balance. So that's why my first one hasn't been paid down very much at all. So yeah, this is going to be a wild ride, but here we go. So I did some math about saying if I wanted to pay this all off in 24 months. I added up how much I would need to pay each month on each thing, and it was an astronomical amount, like 1,000 and something. So yeah, it was not going to work. But then I did the math, which took a little bit longer, with the Snowball idea, which is you pick an amount. It's like you add up your minimum payments, because you have to make those no matter what. That's another thing that people get confused. Just another warning if you get a credit card. If you get one that's like 0% for whatever, that doesn't mean 0 payments. Like, I've had to have that talk with people that were clients of the bank that I worked for, why we closed their account, because they didn't make any payments at all, but they thought like, oh, well, 0%, but yeah, that's just because you're not paying any interest charges in that period of time. You still have to make at least your minimum payment. So yeah, you still have to make your minimum payment no matter what. I can't say that without mumbling it. So I totaled up my minimum payments, and then I I found out based on the rest of my budget, my monthly bills, what extra I could put towards that. So you'll pick one account to apply all that extra to, and then you pay that however much extra plus your minimum until that card or that loan is paid off. and then you take that total amount and then add it to the next account that you have until that's paid off, and then you take all of that amount and then you add it to the last one, and the last one should get paid off really quick. So I'll give you the real numbers. This is like, never thought I would share this kind of thing, but here we are. I hate it when people do like budgeting videos, but they don't at least give an example, you know. So basically my priorities. So I have credit card 1, credit card 2, and student loan. So credit card 1 I'm paying off. It has a lower balance than my second one, but I'm accruing interest. So at this point I've paid a lot more money than what I actually borrowed because of interest. So I'm trying to get that paid off first. But however, like I mentioned before, the second one is going to start accruing interest, and it's going to be a lot higher because there's a higher balance. So I'm going to maybe go halfway with the first one, get it halfway paid off, and then move some of that to the second one to get it paid down quickly before it starts accruing interest, so I don't get hit with that ginormous charge. And then student loans are just, they accrue interest forever. Like, I borrowed, I think, $6,000 in when was that? 2013. And it's now 2018, and I'm still paying, and I still owe $4,000 on it. So I've only paid $2,000 in 5 years. Which, that's another thing, if you get a student loan, pay on it before it starts accruing interest. So as soon as you borrow it, you can pay it all. You can pay on it. You just when you're in school, it's deferred, so you're not going to accrue any interest while you're still in school, and then a couple months afterwards. But if you can, and you have a job while you're in school, pay on them, because it'll make your interest charges lower, and then it'll get paid off faster once you graduate. Which I did for a little bit, but then I was like, nah, I'll just pay it later. It's okay. Now I'm literally paying for it. Alright, so I'm going to break down. I wrote all the stuff down. So I tallied up all of my monthly bills, separate from my debt payments. So my phone, my insurance, Netflix, how much I spend in groceries, which YNAB, that budgeting software that I talked about earlier, they are so helpful because after you use it for so many months, it'll tally up and it'll average what you spend in each category, your average on groceries, your average on gas. And that's really helpful for creating a budget, because your budget's not going to stay the same every single month. It's going to change a little bit, as you, if you get a new cell phone plan or if you switch insurances, your budget's going to change a little bit, so it'll let you change with that. And it's a zero-based budget, which means that you allocate every penny that you have into certain categories, which is super helpful because you're not guessing how much you have and if you have any extra. So I added up all of my total bills, and they are $820, rounded up just a little bit to account for if I go over, one of them. And then average income is $1,700. That's after taxes, take home. Which means I have $880 to use to pay off debt and to put into savings. So I didn't put savings into the monthly bills. And I also, one thing that I didn't write on here that I need to do is I need to make, I don't know if I want to put a separate line in the budget to put money into in case I have a lower paycheck. So at the beginning of the year, we don't get as many hours just because it's slower and there's not that much to do because it's not so busy. So I need to save back for that so I can keep making these large payments on my debt. So yeah, I might change a few things around, but I'll let you know next month because I'm going to do monthly updates. So $880 for debt and savings. So, and I also put it out, after I did everything, I put it out by paycheck. So if you get paid every 2 weeks, you get one at the beginning of the month, kind of toward the beginning, and then one kind of toward the end. And you kind of like, you probably just know like when your bills are due. So I just separated those by first check and second check. And then you can go ahead and budget for them, but if they come, like, this is budgeting, like, when I'm going to put that in there. So, like, say if you budget for it, like, by your first check, and then you don't have to pay it until, like, a day after your second one, then that's still okay. You still have the money in there, and you won't have to dig into the portion that you're using your second check for. And sometimes you get 3 checks in a month, so I'll figure that out when the time comes. When one of those comes around, I'll have to look at the dates and see if I need to use that for the first check's expenses for the next month or whatever. So my debt payments and minimum, or my balances and minimum payments. So credit card 1 has a balance of around $2,700, and that'll go up and down just because of interest, and I actually haven't used that credit card to buy anything in a while. So I'll talk about credit cards here in a second, like how to keep them up. Or maybe I should do a separate video. I'll do a separate video about credit cards because I think I have a unique perspective because I was basically an underwriter for credit cards, so I know what banks look for and how to make your credit look good. So first credit card is $2,700, and then the minimum payment is about $70. I round up the minimum just to keep it easy for myself. And the second credit card, the balance is $5,400, and the minimum is $60, which, well, the minimum will go up once you start paying interest. So watch on your bills or your statements or online or whatever. Make sure that your minimum doesn't change so you don't accidentally pay not enough. And then that'll accrue interest on like around May, June 2019. I tried to like underestimate it because they don't actually tell you. They just say however many months. And then my student loan, I owe about $4,000, and the minimum payment on that is $75. So total minimum payments that I have are $205. So then I figured up that I can put about $200 per month in savings, and then I split that up $100 per paycheck to put in savings. It's kind of hard to like divvy up monthly expenses between 2 paychecks and when you're going to do what when. So that's just something to kind of like trial and error figure out. So I said I had $880 to put towards debt and savings. So if I subtract the 205, wait, hold on. Let me go back. So if I have 880 for debt and savings, and then I subtract the savings, leaves me 680. So then I'll subtract the 205 that I have are my minimum payments on all the debt. So that leaves me with $475 extra every month. And when I did my monthly bills, I factored in a little bit of spending money just in case I need to buy a new shirt or, whatever. And then I'm going to take off the 75, and then make it an even 400 and make it easy on myself, and put that 75 in like an emergency savings, which actually I might just put that into the like overflow in case I get a low paycheck later on. So what I'm going to do with that, so I have 400 extra. So this is like the important number, is how much extra that you can put towards your debt. So on my first credit card, I said I was going to pay that down first. So I'm going to add the extra to the minimum payment. I mean, you can like subtract it or whatever, but So my minimum payment on the first credit card is $70, so I'm going to add the $400, so that makes it $470 that I'm going to pay each month toward that credit card. And there is a calculator online. If you search like credit card payoff calculator, it'll bring you to this site. I use the one from bankrate.com. Not sponsored by them either. It's just an easy plug in your balance and your interest rate and either how many months you want to pay it off in or how much of a payment that you want to make, and it'll tell you like what your payments have to be or how many months you'll pay it off in. So if I pay $470 a month on my credit card, it'll be paid off in 7 months, which is crazy because if like at the minimum payment it's like 10 years or something, or like 15 years or something wild. And then I'll still keep banking my 60 on the second credit card and then 75 on the loan. So then after 7 months, once that's paid off, I subtracted how much I would have paid with the minimum onto my second credit card, and then subtracted the minimum that I would have paid onto the loan, and figured out the balances on those. So the $470 that I had before to put towards my first credit card, which would now be paid off, I'll add that to the second credit card. So $470 plus 60, that's the minimum on my second, equals $530. So I have $530 to be paid on my second credit card, and that'll be paid off in about 10 months. And then do all that again, add all that to my loan, and that'll be paid, I'll be paying $605 towards my loan, which will pay off in 5 months. And that's like subtracting what I would have paid up to this point with the minimum. So all in all, let's see, that's 10 plus 7, 17, 18, 20. So about 22 months I should have it paid off. And that's not including like tax returns, which I'm not sure at this point if I want to put my tax returns towards that or put them in savings toward the RV. I'll have to see how much it is. If it's not a lot, I'll put it toward the debt, but if it's a lot, I'll put like maybe some toward the debt and some toward the RV. And then at that point, I would have about $4,000 in savings from the $200 that I save each month. So that's a lot of information. Basically, if you want to pause this and read what I wrote here. So I just wrote all that down. First you got to figure out how much your total is, like how much your balances are, how much your minimum payments are, and then figure out your budget. And you don't want to like sell yourself short either. You know, if you know that you spend X amount for groceries every month, don't like force yourself to, you know, eat rice and beans for the next however long, 2 years, whatever, just to save some money. Like if you know that that's what you spend on a normal month, I mean, maybe you can cut back like just a tiny bit, but like, you know, and then don't sell yourself short on gas either, because you kind of need that. And then I also put in, like if you saw when I held this thing up, I save a little bit a month for car maintenance, like oil changes basically. My car's not that old, which it is. It's 7 years old. Oh, wow, it's 7 years old. I just thought about that. But I put $20 a month towards car maintenance, which I only have to change my oil every like 5 or 6 months. So you're supposed to change it like every 3, I think, but I don't. My work is pretty close, it's only like 5 miles away. And then I visit my grandparents every now and then, but that's not that far. And then I put money towards spending too, just in case I need to buy something, like I said. And then the spending can roll over. Like I'm not gonna like make myself spend $50 a month. Like, I mean, I could spend more than $50 a month, but you know. So on top of all that, I decided to make a little visual for myself to keep myself on track and motivated. So here's what I did. So I started with this month, and I wrote down all the months for like 2 years, a little more than 2 years. And then I put how much I paid on credit card 1, how much I paid on the second, how much I paid on the loan, how much I put into savings, and then I put my total debt balance and my total savings balance. So the debt balance should go down, savings should go up. And like this month I paid a little bit extra because I had already made those payments, because it's kind of the end of the month and I already made them, you know, so I'll start like with the budget next month, but I actually paid a little more than I normally would. So, you know. So ultimately, I want this debt balance to be 0 and this savings balance to be as high as possible. So hopefully that was helpful. That was a lot of information. If you want to see me like sit down and do the math on paper, let me know and I can do that. It just was easier for me to do it and then talk about it and then like do it while I'm trying to film. And so if you want to see that, let me know. And if you have any questions, like, let me know if you have any specific questions about credit cards in the comments, and I will let you know. I've looked at thousands, if not tens of thousands of credit reports, so I know what banks look for if you need credit, or you know, how to handle owning a credit card. And it's so weird that, like, you see, like, that was my job for 2 years, and I knew, like, I saw people's mistakes, I knew what mistakes they made and how to fix them, but I just didn't do it myself. I guess I was lazy, and so now I know better. I'm going to try to help you as much as possible with that too. And yeah, so I'm going to make that video about credit cards, and yeah, let me know what you want to see as far as the budget. I'm going to do monthly updates, let you know how my totals are doing and everything. So that's about it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.